Let's get the live on Facebook. A hat today, huh? Okay, so I gotta shut us up over there. And we are live in the Facebook group. And we're just a couple minutes till party time.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is that your like Star Wars?
Something. It's definitely Star Wars inspired. Dun 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 dun.
All right. We should probably get that document we were talking about yesterday pulled up, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
It's day 4 of the challenge. Hello, 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 and welcome. If you're watching on the on Facebook Live, let us know. Give us a shout out. And what did you name that document?
30, 30, 30, 10.
Welcome, Allison. Who did
You posted it in the group too if you want to pull it back up.
I could probably find it that way too, can't I? Just a second, we're getting the document pulled up from yesterday.
Any questions from where we left off yesterday? Anybody got any ideas, any inspirations,
It's in
any
Dropbox.
thoughts or questions? Yes.
So you want to give a quick run through of what it is that we did day 1, day 2, day 3?
Sure. So on day 1, we talked about, let me slide myself in here so I'm a little more centered. On day 1, we went through why are we here, what is our goal, and what are we doing with this community. And in your consideration and inspiration about that, you were moved to want to impact 1 million conscious entrepreneurs, creating $1 million. Right? Which is essentially creating $1 trillion. We played around with that number, and we also really, really emphasized the conscious aspect of it as opposed to the entrepreneur aspect of it, because I am a believer that the wealth and impact will result coming through the consciousness. That it is within the consciousness that we will tap into the unlimited energy and the unlimited inspiration and all that we can be. So the consciousness is a key portion of this, but at the same time, many of us in the group are in the early stages of our business and are looking for not only mindset and inspiration and but they need some strategic ideas on how to move forward and some tactics to get things done. And so we wanted to emphasize some bootstrapping ideas to get clients for our community so that we could, all take the next step, right? So we did all that on the first day, and the second day was wonderful, but I would have to go back and actually hear a portion of it because we went down, how to have a conversation with people in terms of understanding their pain points and understanding their worldview and understanding how to listen. One of the big takeaways that I remember was Elise saying, so I just need to shut up, right? And that was a fun aspect.
In selling, yep.
Yeah, and in the portion of day 2 that we were intending was more about what we covered on day 3, which is just sort of how this evolves, right? We went through the world's easiest business plan on day 3 and had a conversation, and we didn't get to what I believe we'll get to today, which is how to create leads with social selling.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. So
love that ring.
Thank you. It's amazing. It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Ready
really
to see?
pretty. Very pretty.
It's a lemon quartz. I got this guy on eBay that like makes all these beautiful rings. I like them only if they're over 100 carats. But they're like $20-$30, and he like everyone's different. They're all custom made. They're this one too, right? I don't remember the stone on this one. This one's a rough stone, so it's not as like shiny shimmery, but
Okay.
I like the real rocks.
Rocks.
Do we have any questions for those? I'll look in the Facebook group, and for those of you
on chat, can you hear us okay?
Yeah,
We're at the top of
can
the
you hear
hour. We
us?
want to get started.
I see something little bouncing here. I don't really know what that means. But yeah, do you have any questions with what we went over so far? You can type that in the chat or to the Q&A section, or in the Facebook group, and I'll try to catch on to now. Allison says she can hear us. Christine asks if it's okay you didn't see the others. Brian can hear us. Celeste is there too. So yeah, don't necessarily need to watch the other ones, but you will want to go back and make time to go watch those later, because there'll be a lot of information that some people might be talking about that you might want to catch up on.
Right. So in a quick view yesterday, we went through the world's simplest business plan because we wanted to be able to put concrete numbers to what we wanted to achieve, but we also needed to make the energetic awareness for everyone that your business is separate from you. And that if you don't recognize that your business is separate from you, that it's a separate entity in and of itself, then you and the business are sort of like they're struggling from the same resource center, right? You're fighting over the same amount of money, energy.
It's like
blood.
you're a twin and you're like taking all the food and not giving your other twin any food or like you're breathing all the air, you're eating
Right.
all the food, like, sorry, twin.
It also causes you to plan and play really small, right? The initial shift from moving from $150 a session to $400 a session can seem staggering because you still think of the $150 as your value of your time, instead of thinking about what do I really want and what would it take to make that happen and what kind of value can I produce that someone would be willing to give me the amount of money that I desire, which is a whole different way to look at it. The world's easiest business plan puts it into 3 groups of marketing, fulfillment, and net profit of the business.
Let's share that right now.
Right. So the net profit of the business is what you take home as the business owner. So I want to begin to instill the idea that you are a business operator, right? You're a business creator, but you are also a business owner. And if you were going to buy a franchise, let's say Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's, right? They would have very clear statistics on how much money you would make as the owner of the business. And you would plan to go hire a day manager and hire a night manager. You wouldn't be in a position where you ran every cash register and turned every burger, right? That seems self-evident, but you're not using those basic principles typically when you're moving into this business idea. And 9 times out of 10, the reason you are doing this is because you are like, I don't have any money and I don't know how to do it and I'm not sure what's going on, but it doesn't make those aspects any less real.
Mm-hmm. And I told a story about how it's just as hard to get somebody to, it's just as much work learning the marketing and the sales and following up with referrals and stuff to get the $47 client as it is to get the $10,000 client. There's a little bit more skills that you have to know just in how do you present yourself for $10,000. But if you stay in a question That is much easier than you would think. And sometimes stuff like that just falls in your lap. Most of you have those opportunities right around you, and you're really sort of, pushing it off. So again, we're open to taking questions here, you guys. So type in the chat if you've got a question. Allison saying she can't hear us. Maybe now she can. I see another view that she can. What do you guys got as far as questions go?
So Brian's saying, does net include the tax part, right? So part of what keeps this concept simple is that I don't get into a lot of those sort of minutia and details. At the level that your business is at right now, you should write off everything you possibly can and not have much of a tax consequence. Every expense you have can be applied against a business expense. Get a qualified tax accountant and get a C, a corporation sub C, and report all your revenue and claim all of your expenses. And in general, the tax burden is a minimal quarterly amount of money for $100,000 in the state of Florida. If I give you an estimate of the amount of money that I pay in taxes, it's $1,500 a quarter.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the year, that money transfers to you personally, and then based on how much money you make, right, you have a business tax, right, and then you have a personal tax. But I don't want this to be about a tax thing. In general, the crux of the 30-30-30 is so that you have an idea that I need to have money set aside for marketing, and I need to have money set aside for fulfillment, and I need to understand how much this business, as I've constructed it, is going to net me in profit. It is more of a how do I price my business? What am I creating in this business, as opposed to a cash flow tax plan, right?
But we're not certified accountants, so go talk to Anita. Go talk to somebody else there on the line.
Yeah, and Anita is an accountant, so in general, no, I'm not talking about taxes.
Yeah. Amy has a question here. Thanks, okay, Amy, for being live. She says, can you talk about when you raise your prices, the value of what you offer? To me, raising my prices makes me think I have to offer more. Isn't that an interesting point of view?
Yeah, I love that. Point of view. It seems like Amy just bees more. And
I want to know, so Amy is actually a certified facilitator just recently. Congratulations. And so she's all up in the Access world. So we can use these tools, on her because she knows them, right? But in the case of the rest of you, right, how many of you think and believe you have that point of view that you have to do more if you're going to charge more? Like, give me a yes in the chat. Give me a yes in the Facebook group. How many of you think you have to do more if you charge more? Let me know. I know you guys do, right? And I am pulling up two things for you guys while you give me the answers on those. Okay. Give me something in the chat. If you think you have to do more to end up to be more. Let's see. Give me a yes. Anita says yes. Being sloppy costs you money. We've got another yes. Okay, cool. So with that, I'm going to not multitask. I have here's the one I want. I'll put this one in the chat here. Sometimes I can't do two things at once. I'm going to put it in the Facebook group. So Allison says, no, I don't have to do more. I just have to value. So that's an interesting thing. So first of all, what I like to look at with the value question is you've really got 2 points of view going on with value, right? So there's your perceived value of what it is that you offer, and then somebody else's perceived value of what you have to offer. And there's probably also like, okay, I can stop share. There's probably also like a third element there of like the communication of it. So this is why when we went in on day 2 and we talked about if you're going to sell anything, we have found that staying in a question with the person that is a potential candidate, right? If you stay in a question with them and get to it's called criteria. If you get to why they care about what they care about, right? So you're always asking, well, what do you want? And then why do you want it? And why is that important to you? And what's going to happen if you get it? If you stay in those questions, then you get to understand for somebody their reality and their point of view and what is important to them. And then you can make your offer or your invitation based on what they are seeing and valuing. And it also saves you a lot of time because, if you're getting a real clear awareness or a knowing that they don't value, this or that, right? Then you can go, based on what you're telling me, it doesn't really feel like we could work together. It doesn't feel like, that what I provide is going to be a good fit for you. So here, let me recommend somebody else to you, right? So first of all, I would definitely recommend having lots more conversations with people. You can also have conversations with the clients of like, so, hey, we've been doing this work together. Talk to me about, what this means for you in your life. And there's usually 5 areas where you can get more information from somebody so that you can tap into what it matters for them. And they're easy to remember because they all start with F. The first one is their faith. And so to me, faith can be their religious beliefs. It can be their spirituality. It can also be like their belief in themselves and the universe, right? So when it's an interesting one. So I've been having conversations a lot with my body because it's not sometimes doing what I want it to do, right? And then I realize how much I'm being a bitch to my body, right? So if I was going to, I go to my favorite Pilates class. Amy, you're now teaching yoga, right? If you ask your yoga students, hey, what's the value, spiritually for you of doing the yoga? They're probably going to have some really good information for you. And like, they're going to say, it's how I tap back into my body. It's, it's what makes me feel connected. Right. And that criteria helps you to know for them what they value. And then you have faith, you have fitness, which is another one, right? How does we call it fitness just so it's another F, right? But it's how their body reacts to things, right? You've got family, you've got friends, and you've got finances. So faith, family, friends, finances, and then fitness. So you have them all as Fs. But if you can take whatever you sell and understand for each of your ideal clients, and you guys have multiple ideal clients. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, having multiple client avatars. And for me, understanding those multiple client avatars is, who is this person and what problems are they, keeping themselves awake at night with or worrying about? And how do I tap into the reality that they're living to provide a solution for them? And you being able to balance those multiple energies is where your business can expand in different income flows, in the variety of clients you work with. And some of you, that might be overwhelming, right? So that's why other gurus teach you to niche down and only focus on these one types of clients, right? But focusing on one is often hard for those of you who are super aware, because you kind of want to be playing with all these people at one time and you have a capacity to do it, right? So Amy, let me know if that answered your question, if that started to answer your question. Ron said something a few minutes ago about going from 150 to 450 and about the value. What does he mean by that?
So in the specific example, the numbers that I chose were, we were discussing somebody's practice yesterday and what they typically charge for a session, right? And it's not unusual for people to have a session charge, and I was choosing 150. I don't know if that was something I sourced or somebody gave me,
said it.
Right? But in the example of using the world's easiest business plan, I was trying to demonstrate that if I wanted to take home $50,000 as the business owner as a result of the business activity, I needed to be able to generate $160,000 gross in the business. And as a result of that understanding, that means that the price on 2 sessions a day would have to be $400 each, because I need to generate $800 a week. Because
$800 a day.
$800 a day, because I need to generate $15,000 per month.
Right. So there's a lot of different ways where you can look at value, right? So value sometimes is the actual exchange that you have with somebody in that one-on-one session. When we teach high ticket programs with clients, so getting them to like having a $10,000 program, meaning somebody's paying them, $1,000 a month on auto pay, we have them look at the intangibles. So if you can provide any extra videos for your clients to support them in between sessions, if you can provide them with e-content. So we mentioned private label rights yesterday. There's a ton out there on every subject you guys could think about, right? So the first thing might be is you just go and get an ebook on, yoga poses or, allergies or something like that, and say, every client gets this ebook with it. And being able, the more of those things you can stack up. So it might be that they get, audios with personal messages to them. It might be that they get text messages or email support or a Facebook group, right? But any of those things that increase the intimacy, the speed at which they can get a transformation, the accountability they have with, or the masterminding that they can have with other people. Like there's a huge value in you guys getting to be on a call and hear what other people are up to and feel like you're not alone or feel like other people are going through the same thing you are. And in higher ticket programs that I've invested in, some of those people are my friends years and years later, and they're people I do I do business with and things like that. So being able to bring your clients together because you're cool and they're cool provides extra value there too. So starting with a question about what they value and why, and getting out of your own point of view of, well, I wouldn't value that, or, that doesn't matter to me, will help you to tap into where the money is and where people are happy to pay those sorts of rates.
So I'll give you two other little juxtapositions, right? Especially in speaking to Amy, if you're making a logical argument about why you should be charging what you're charging, right? To now pivot and come up with another approach, right? Energetically talk to your business about what it is that it desires, because you may find that you can do remote sessions, or you can record videos, or you can have some other way that the money shows up for you. And the second part, I would give you a way to juxtapose it is consider in the way that Mandy gave you the framework with the 5 F's of faith, family, fitness, friends, and finances. She's trying to help source you on how do you talk about the value that you provide in the eyes of your client.
Right. It's not anything about the number one thing you've got to do first in those sales conversations is, in Access, we call it destroy and uncreate our own points of view, right? You have to destroy and uncreate those, right? Come from a place of total neutralness and then be in a question with that other person so you can hear what's going on for them. Now, if you're super aware, you might still sort of get those downloads of, I don't have the money. And the mastery of this is learning, is that an awareness of what this other person is experiencing, or am I just picking up on other, frequencies in the world, and I need to just continue to stay present with that person and ask questions?
So I think
because when I put my own barriers down, and I keep myself on mute a lot in sales conversations, and that's why I would highly recommend you also don't do them in person. Right? And so some of you may need to sort of transition out of that, or that might be the next step that you can take. So when somebody, says they want a session with you, you might go, okay, cool. I'd like to hop on the phone and do a little analysis here before or an assessment, sometimes you can call it, or find a word that feels fun for you. But I just want to, check in with why you want this session and, what you're looking for to make sure we're a good fit. And then you can actually kind of you can have them fill out a form. There's lots of people in the group. You can ask if they'll share their assessments with you. I have mine at expandyouриmpact.com/show me the money. I'll put that link in there for you. But it's a quick little checklist that people go through. And for me, as soon as I see that, I know immediately if they're going to be a fit or if they're not going to be a fit, and I start to see how many problems that they have that I might be able to help them with. And then it helps me, but I also put that away when I get on the phone with them, and I just be present with them about what they want and why they want it. And most people have a lot of points of view about things. And so they come to you saying they want one thing, and really to transform them, you have to understand why they want what they want so that you can help them in all those other little iterations too.
So I'm going to give you a quick example that's totally outside of the scope of this, and how you talk to a client from your expertise about the problems that they have without making them wrong or small, right? Or pushing them away. I have a client come to me. They've decided they want to launch a new product online. It's sort of a cosmetic product, and they want to, let's put it on affiliate network and let's start selling. Let's do this, right? And they are focused on the efficacy of the product. They're telling me how the product is good and it's wonderful and it's totally going to work, and like they've got all the best scientists and all the best whatever. And I'm having to pivot them into, I don't care if the product works. No offense, right? I don't care if the product works. I need to know if the product sells, right? And if the product's going to sell and how much money the affiliate is going to make, it's a totally different argument. I know that's the crux of the argument, right? So your webpage may be beautiful, but if the affiliates require it to be, in this format or this step, that's a requirement. It has nothing to do with the fact that your website is good or bad or works or doesn't. It's just, if I'm going to do it in the expertise that I have about this, it's got to look this way, right? So I can give them an idea of, well, these are the requirements to get what you want. You want to be on an affiliate network. That may mean you have to change your website. It may mean you have to up the price. That may mean you have to, so in the case where somebody wants to be on, have an online program, Mandy's approach might be to say, do you have these other elements in place that you haven't mentioned, but I know they're implied because of what you want, right? So it's something that's coming up for me now, right? It's a way for you to help share in the grace of all of your modalities, right? When you are often considering your price and your value, you compare your modality, right? And I would really want you to be able to focus on the outcome, because in my modalities, I don't see a real comparison. I would just say, wouldn't it be nice if you weren't anxious? And wouldn't it be nice if you got up and you just saw beauty everywhere, right? Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have a lot of strain in your relationships? Wouldn't it be nice if you had a lot of, excitement when you woke up in the morning, that you were thrilled about what was going to happen today and how that was going to unfold for you, right? And I just asked a bunch of yes questions. I know that they're saying yes, yes, yes in their mind, right? Would you like to learn more about how that works?
And most people, so the transition that I have learned from, and we've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs who have made transitions from seeing people in an office like all day long, right? And then moving to a virtual reality where they're seeing clients, over the phone, to even moving to putting people in groups, and then moving to people having VIP days and working with them privately. There's a lot of points of view that you've got to overcome and continue to sort of stay in a question with as you go through those phases. Because here's the thing is, when somebody gives you an objection, a sales objection, like, I can't afford that, or, no, I really want to work with somebody privately, right? Or I don't want to do group work, or, I don't want to do an online course, right? Sometimes if you stay in a question with that, you can find out, is that an awareness of what the person really needs or, desires, or is that them playing small themselves, or them, let's see, how do I say this? That, like, a lot of times clients, if they're in anxiety, fear, lack, and any of those lower vibrations, right? They have so much noise going on in their head. They are so much in a story about their lives that they don't even really understand what space looks like or what quiet looks like in their head, because they're just constantly, even if they're on antidepressants and some of that noise is calmed, they still don't really understand what true, space and consciousness is. So they sometimes have points of view about what things have to look like, where you can know, like, look, I can't even spend time one-on-one with you until we sort of deal with these things. And so that's how you decide how to develop a program or decide how to develop how you want to work with somebody, because you know that you, like, I want to see you in person until we've sort of done all these other things first, right? So if you guys need specific examples of that, I'm happy to let you guys, come on. You can either be, if you're on the Zoom, we can unmute you, or you can type in the chat if you need some sort of specific examples. But I know with Ron and I, we've moved this new year. It's not necessarily that we're sort of raising our rates. Well, we are. But so we're saying, we are $1,000 an hour for a private session with us. But there's a lot of ways that you can get supported by us without paying that, right? But for somebody who understands or values the fact that spending an hour with us can get a lot accomplished, right? Or coming for a VIP day, right? You also understand that getting to even spend 15 or 20 minutes on the phone amongst other people is super valuable when that happens. It allows us to not, we don't have a lot of transactions where people are just paying for that hour, but we have a lot of transactions where when we say, hey, this is how you can work with us for the year, and you get all of these things and all these ways to interact with us, it makes that value of the hour somebody would get with us privately perceived in a lot.
There's a perceived value.
And there's also just an honoring of that sort of sacred intimacy that you would get when you would work with somebody. Cool.
So we have an opportunity to walk through further down that document, but we're cruising through materials so quickly. I want to be sure that we
got Leah saying, are they resisting or is it their real truth, right? Not quite sure what you're saying. Type a little more, Leah.
When you were in your sales conversation and you were saying that they couldn't hear you and framing it is when she popped. I'll let her address it.
Yeah.
If you want to speak up, Leah, please.
You have to, if we're conscious entrepreneurs, we are holding everybody in that they are also infinite beings, that there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, that they have something in their reality that's showing up as something they don't want to have anymore. And so you're looking to see if the thing that you offer can support them in sort of feeling more whole or feeling more complete, but you're not looking at them as broke or less than or any of that.
So
you can't buy into their story when they show up as broke, or, you've got to hold the space for them of like, no, yes, you can heal. Yes, there's enough money,
You'll find as you have conversations where your stories are, because you'll innately buy theirs, right? Every time a conversation is had that's of a sales nature, there's an old movie that, like, look, either they sold you or you sold them.
Yeah.
Right. We don't need to be that black and white with it, but in the type of material that we're talking about now, we first published in something we call a conscious conversion, right? And in the process of conscious conversion, what you're trying to do is to ask people questions that they've never been asked before, primarily because you're trying to move them from their subconscious auto response neural network into the upfront conscious mind in order for them to think, wow, there's a new possibility. If I can ask a new question, then they can tap into a new possibility. They can sense something different. They can create something different that has never existed for them before. Mm-hmm. So in the questioning, right, and if you listen, you'll understand which questions to ask and where to take the conversation just based on the energy, mm-hmm. right? So as an example where you would buy somebody's story, there is never a lack of money or time. Right? Time and money are never the reason the sale is made. It's never the reason. And you need to set that in and then push back if you really got some questions about why time and money are not the answer, right? It may be that, in some instances, somebody wants group work or they don't want group work, or, I'm not sure this is right for me because I've done this before. There's some other reason. You have to push past the time and money objection. You have to push past that in order to get what's really going on for them.
So the way that I was trained to do this is you asked, okay, so if money was no object, based on what we talked about, would you still be interested, or would you, take me up on this program? And then most of the time the people they say yes. And whether that yes is a real yes or not. I know you guys are smart enough. You feel it, right? Most of the time they lie and say, oh, yes, if money was no object, I would totally do it. And so you're like, okay, then can I support you in coming up with ways to create the money? And then they're like, oh, I don't know. Okay. And what you start to feel with some people is they're like, oh shit, she's calling me on my stuff here. I just use I can't afford it to hide.
A lot of people don't want to say, a lot of people don't want to let you down. They don't want to make you feel bad. They don't want to, they don't want to tell you no.
Right. And so they use that as an excuse. So if you say, okay, then, if we can move into a place of, helping you to find the money, would you do it? Yes. Okay. And that also supports you in helping somebody make a transition out of, if their kid was sick right now, if your mother was dying or somebody had a gun to her head, you guys would come up with whatever amount of money that was needed to be created, right? But what happens is people, you need to determine for you and them whether that's a real valid excuse, right? They're not willing to do what it takes. No judgment. That's fine, right? The other one people get hung up with is oh, I have to talk to my husband about that, right? Well, I'm curious. Do you, talk to your husband about, especially in the business world, do you talk to your husband about all your decisions? Or I'm curious, are you asking him for permission, or are you just actually, sort of running this by him? How does that work, right?
So we go back and forth and help you employ additional mental exercises so you don't get yourself into wormholes like that. And then when you do hear objections that are routine, that you have a natural process to answer the objection and push past it. There's a lot of sales theory that we can use, and then there's just your conscious awareness of what shit you're going to buy and what shit you're not. Mm-hmm. Right?
So Leah says, I do have a point of view that my clients wouldn't want a mastermind. I need to let go of that point of view. So Leah asked, what would it take? What would it take for my clients to want a mastermind? What energy, what space, what consciousness do your body and your business need to be to understand what a mastermind would look like? So because you have been in a reality, I know Leah and Leah's going to come join us in the Insiders Club. How awesome is that? Because Leah's been in some other worlds where there's some, masterminds and stuff, you definitely have to destroy and uncreate your points of view about the way the other people did it. Because usually you're trying to mimic them and you're trying to not do it like them, or you didn't see the value. You didn't get the value out of what was promised to you in those things. And so sometimes healing those points of view, eliminating those points of view, allows you to come back to, well, if I could, what would a mastermind be that would be fun look like? What would I enjoy out of that? And what benefits would somebody need to have in order to make that fun? And then you get to create from the space of true desire or possibility instead of conclusion.
You can also decide for yourself, is the mastermind important to me? Is the client important to me? Why am I creating this resistance? Because you may have had a mastermind that you didn't like, or you may be afraid to be in front of people, or you may not feel like you have the right facility. Or
she says her clients her lawyer clients will want more confidentiality. So I can tell you that we've worked with two of the largest lawyer marketing agencies or firms. You have Dave Lorenzo of Rainmaker Lawyer and Arjon Robbins from How to Manage a Small Law Firm. We know both of these guys for a long time. They're both here in South Florida. Both of them teach lawyers how to make more money and how to run successful practices, right? And both of them have clients in their mastermind groups, and they both have multiple mastermind groups actually on different topics and different subjects. So that is in particular an example of an objection that, as long as you come from your own conclusions about it and not a curiosity. So I'd look at who who seems interesting to be in that mastermind, and then go talk to them and say, you know what, I'm kind of playing with the idea of a mastermind. What do you think about being a part of it? Would that be something that would be interesting to you? Then you give them choice, instead of what you're doing on this side of it is just superior bitching them, thinking you already know what's going on in their head.
Yeah.
Which keeps you from really being able to help them.
And I would also, when you're asking about a mastermind, you could start it broadly by saying, what do you like about being in masterminds? Because most of the time, the people at the higher levels, what they like about masterminds is the other motherfuckers that they're going to meet in there that they want to tap into. And so when you talk to the first guy, and he's like, I'd really love to be in a mastermind with this person. Think of it like a big dating game, because now this guy wants to know you and you want to know him and he wants to know her. So it's not only the material that they cover, sometimes it's the venue, sometimes it's the exclusivity or the panache or who they're going to meet, right? I would suggest that you can flush that out. And if they need confidentiality, private client.
Yeah.
That's a private client, right?
Yeah.
Here you are
That's
resisting, right? That's you resisting the idea of having a private client.
And so the other thing, Leah, that's coming up for me with that is I would stay in question about what that confidentiality actually means. Like, first of all, go find out if a client's really telling you that, right? If that's their objection or if that's just your shit. If you have somebody who tells you, you know what, I don't want to be part of a mastermind because I really, I don't want people to know who my clients are or whatever, you're going to be able to understand what the energy behind that confidentiality is, right? And you're good. You'll know this. You'll be like, oh, they don't have enough self-esteem to know that, or they don't believe there's enough clients. So they feel like if they tell people who their clients are, or they tell people the marketing strategies they got to get clients, that somebody else will take away their clients. Oh, again, that's something we can work on in a private session, right? So when Arjan and Dave were part of a mastermind that I ran for years, right? And they both were in the group and they both shared their own strategies and tactics for getting clients. But because they were such different people, nobody wanted to steal. Like if Arjan got clients from SEO, Dave was good at public speaking, and they weren't finding or attracting the same lawyers because, for one, if you guys end up knowing these two characters, they're totally different people. Right? And there's totally different reasons why you would work with Arjan or you would work with Dave. Somebody's not going to, they're just totally different. And all of you have that capacity. So especially when you bring together all of the modalities you're looking to work with somebody on.
So Allison is saying, I have a point of view that people can't afford an $1,100 website. So I want to just delete, uncreate, destroy all that.
How much is the most expensive website you built for somebody?
It's a combination. I've had a website that was, easy north of 20,000, right? And then we got paid to build a series of small websites, and it was a $400,000 project, right?
So Allison, I think that you're hanging around the wrong people.
There's some of that. And then the other thing I would do is stop looking at it as a website.
Yeah.
It's
not.
It's a marketing channel. It's a salesperson. It is the inbound traffic of Google and Amazon, the two largest people in the world who want to connect with your business, would do so through your website. So you just gotta slap them around. And if you're stuck on a particular person, you're probably in a lack of money, or I need money now, and so you're feeling like you have to sacrifice what you know to be true because this asshole's got 1,100 and I really want his fucking 1,100. As long as you're clear about it, I'm going to take this one on the chin. I'm going to do it for 800 when I really know it's worth $2,000 because I really want the 800. And you just are clear about it. You can get out of the judgment of that it should be more or should be less. And you're just going to be grateful. I got 800. I'm going to do this. And you can find a way to make that as painless as possible.
So one of the things that helps in charging more is a real comfort level with understanding, again, your ideal client, or being in question about what would it take for an ideal client to have fun paying me this, or to find it totally easy to pay this, right? So if Allison, you have checked in with your websites and the websites are like, yes, I really want to be 1,100, then your question to stay in is like, universe, show me the clients who would be happy to pay $1,100. And then drop your barriers as you go to Starbucks, or as, I'd go hang out at, places where go be uncomfortable at Nordstrom's for a while or Saks Fifth Avenue. Go to a networking event where people have to pay a higher ticket to go. So the South Florida Business Journal, I think Allison's down here in South Florida. The South Florida Business Journal puts on events all the time where the ticket to just go to the event is $150 and your black tie affair, right? Well, if somebody's paying $150 to go to an event and get dressed up, right, then that's close to the amount that you're wanting them to pay for the website. And getting to understand and know that market. Again, why do they want a website? What is a website going to do for them? If they generate one sale from the website, they've paid that investment back, right? So you've got to understand what kind of client would find that investment like nothing. And one of the interesting things that my mentor snapped me on just recently was, she says, and the law of attraction talks about this, like what you focus on expands, right? So if you constantly are finding clients who don't have money, it's almost like if you are creating that reality where there are no clients because you're really wanting to prove yourself right so that your body can stay safe, so that it doesn't have to do anything that's fearful for you, right? You don't have to invest in an event or learn how to go talk to people about what you do or ask, right? Yeah. It's a tricky little booger out there. So stay in the question of, at least for now, borrow our belief, right? Borrow the belief of the people who are in the group. There's people out there who will pay $1,100 for a website. I just can't wait to find out who they are. I can't wait to find out where I can meet them. And I can't wait to get 100 no's until I find one, because I choose to believe that I can succeed and that this is possible because I simply have the desire for it. Celeste says, I love being wrong. Leah says, I love being wrong. Celeste is also like, I'm sorry I'm late again. Yeah, the website thing and the massage. I mean, we've got a client who does yoga for clients. She comes and she privately teaches yoga, and she does a little nutrition counseling and coaching and does a little bit of mindset work and gets paid $30,000 a year to do that. And she's not doing yoga 5 times a week at somebody's house or office. She's, flying around the world. I think 4 times a year she'll come out and she'll work with you, and then she sends some videos for you because the executive is busy and he's not in the same place all the time anyway. So she does little Skype sessions or little Zoom sessions, and most of her clients at that level too pay in full. How cool is that?
That's good stuff.
All right, what other questions do you guys have for us today? I don't really want to go over a lot of new content because I feel like we've gone over a lot. And I haven't actually seen either that anybody's done any of the homework. I think we gave it to them last night and expected it this morning. So we might need to adjust the weekend schedule a little bit too, so you guys do the homework. Just
as a reminder, the homework is the easiest thing. So I'm going to call bullshit on any of you that's saying, oh, I'm so busy, I can't do homework. I don't know what you're talking about. Right? So the homework was, give me a list of all the things that you want.
Leah's like, I did the list, but I didn't realize you wanted me to send it in. This is what our kid came up with this morning. It's like, right. I don't understand why I'm making a 0 in math class.
Yeah, I didn't know I had to turn the homework in. So if you've had an opportunity to write out your list, Leah, would you be willing to, you don't have to give us all the information on the list, but would you be willing to chat right now about that?
Yep. Okay. So I don't know if I've ever wait, Leah, promote to panelist.
There we go.
I think that asks you.
Can you hear us and speak up, Miss Leah? Give her a minute to get her self-acclimated. So the homework was for me to have you go through the experience of writing down everything that you want.
Right.
And then see what comes up from there. So Celeste is volunteering. Good, excellent. Leah, can you
hear me?
Hear us, and can you talk? If you're talking and we can't hear you, let us know. I'm talking.
Can you hear me now?
It flashes over like she's talking, but then I don't hear her.
Yeah, I agree. I think her mic's probably off. That's what I would guess.
No, my mic.
It's muted. So everyone else can hear her, but we can't.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So what makes it? I guess they're assuming that we're in the room. On the drop down of more, see what that gives me. Yeah, we can try your video. I don't know what difference it makes. Maybe I can read your lips.
Can you see me now?
That's so weird. Like you're there, and we can't hear you.
All right. So you want to talk about making her a host, and then we'd go dormant. Right?
I think we'd go dormant if we did.
Right. Okay.
So what else is possible here?
Yeah. All right. So let me. I'm going to share some of my experience. I'd like to hear what Leah's got to say. I'm not sure how to do that, or we can tie in. But while Annie's pressing a button or two, she's there.
Yeah, Brian posted his.
Mine is posted. Oh, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so let me ask this a different way we could chat. How many things did you write down? Did you write down? Okay, yeah, you can call in, Leah. Did you write down more than 50 things? Brian and Celeste, did you write down more than 50 things? How many would you guess? How many things did you write down? Hello?
Hey.
Hey, here she is. All right, so we're going to try this experiment.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you turn off your speaker?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
All right.
Okay. So,
Let us know in the chat if you can hear her, because I'm putting her up to the speaker now.
okay. So things I want. I want a new car for me, and I can detail that. I want new cars for my kids. Looking into the chat, see if I can hear other people. Also, if people can make comments to panelists and attendees, because I'm not seeing all the things you guys are seeing. New cars for my kids. I want to pay for college this year and next year's college. I want to paint the interior of my house, finish the basement, go to Maui, go to Paris, pay off the truck, personal trainer twice a week, weekend trips. I want to, oh, and this is where it started to get interesting. I want to go on lots of weekend trips. I want to do great work. I want to have clients seek me out. I want to have clients refer me before I've even asked. I want to accept great profit without risk. I want to have, and this was sort of like an accidental typo in my, writing, $11 million in assets, 500,000 liquid at all time. I want ghostwriters who know me, get me, and can write for me. I want so much business profit that I can reinvest in the business in great office space, ghostwriters, an ongoing Infusionsoft consultant, an awesome website, great wardrobe. I want my feet to feel great. I want to wear heels with joy and ease. I want to stay committed to my goals, achieve my goals, accept that my goals are okay. I want romantic dinners. I want beautiful vacations. I want great vacations for Steph and the girls. Things like that.
Things like that. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable. I really appreciate that.
Inspired by those as well. You have probably added some more things to your list.
So it's so much fun to hear you process that. And so I'm just going to give you what comes up for me. When you are giving us the first couple, they're sort of like, you can tell that you're just going through the motion of it. And then you actually said something like, this is where it got interesting. What made that part interesting?
Well, the thing that got interesting was I was thinking about the things I want to achieve or receive or be able to do with whatever money I make. And then I thought, no, like I've never had on a want list doing great work. Like, I want to do great work. I mean, so I've never put that on a list of things I want, even though I guess it's sort of like, I just, when I think about want lists, I think about like things that I'm creating or drawing in or whatever. So I've put on there before, you know, clients seek me out. But I kind of went in a different direction than I ever had. So I guess that's why it was interesting, was it was a different direction than I ever have before. And
well, to me, that speaks to so if you want to be a great speaker, then you're putting on the list, I want to mentor with the best speakers. You know, I want to be able to travel around and, you know, hear these people or have the time to study these people, right?
Right.
You're looking at, okay, so then you want clients to seek you out. Well, then the question you're going to stay in next is, what would it take to have that, to create that? Is that team? Is that you learning, you know, these activities or those activities, or learning how to manage these activities or those activities, right? And that's where you get from being somebody who just does the coaching work that we all do. I think one of the greatest, when people work with us and they come to us and they hate sales and marketing originally, and they're like, I only want to do my thing. I only want to teach my yoga, or I only want to, you know, do my executive coaching. And then after a couple of years of working with us and they're closing clients at bigger rates, and they're like, oh my God, I love sales. That's like all I want to do is just do sales. That's the biggest transformation, is because they understand how much supporting somebody in that conversation really is. And they get out of, you know, being somebody who does the work and into somebody who builds the empire.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I would share with you as we're going through this, as we're going through this,
Okay.
as we're going through the homework assignment, you could sense that your pace picked up and your energy picked up once you said it was interesting. Mm-hmm. Right? The rest of it started to flow faster and faster. I can hear that in you, and everyone else can. And what I want to make the impression is that you can hear the energy behind what she's saying. Right? So if you follow what I'm saying, hit #energy in the comments. You can understand that as you listen to someone, you can tell if they're excited or not. I know this seems fairly fundamental, but you are ignoring the magnificent power that you guys have in order to tell where the other person is at, right? So how did you feel when you finished the assignment, when you finished the list?
Kind of amused.
Speak to that.
Well, I guess I felt amused because I was taking things in a different angle than before. And so it was nice to be in a different space. It wasn't just, oh, this is the list of things that I've always thought that I've never done, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, oh, well, that's a new way to look at it. I always like to look at things from new ways.
Excellent. I like that. I like the idea of it being upbeat. In my first time doing it, I felt like I was a little bit surprised when I plugged in and started churning. When I stopped, it was like, that's all I want.
Yeah.
And I just sat with that. I sat with that idea for a minute, that's all I want. And then I started to hear my mentor's voice in my head, because the original assignment was to write down 1,000 things that I want.
Well, that's the heading that I put, was 1,000 things.
So I would keep that. I would keep that assignment open then.
Right. And so I felt like, okay, well, I don't know what time I stopped. Whether I stopped because, maybe I stopped because we were about to get on another call.
Mm-hmm.
Last
Perhaps.
night call, right? So I didn't have the sense that this is all I wanted. I did have the sense that, there weren't as many immediate things as I thought there were going to be, but that it was fun to just sort of come up with things or think it from a different angle.
And for you, it came up that it's really good that you're okay with it. You want things.
Yes, for sure.
And that's a huge transformation. So if anybody else is in a replay or whatever feeling that, the first stage for a lot of people is just being okay to want what you want. I remember being in that phase of like, you know, it's okay to not to want to be treated better. Like it's okay to want, you know, great conversations with people. Like it felt so selfish. And I had to get over well, I just can't keep going on in life if I can't have what I want. Like this just doesn't work for me, right?
So as I continued to pursue this, I came back to the assignment a week later, not literally, but more energetically, and I was thinking about it. And I was shocked that the only thing that I had written for things that I want were things I didn't have already. And so I just had to sit with that, and I was trying to understand, because it was initially like it hit me like a hammer hit me in the forehead when I realized that the only things I had written down for what it was that I wanted were things that I didn't have. It made me come to understand that in the energy that I'm coming from, when I think about things that I want, I'm pivoting out of things that I don't have. I'm creating from lack, right? And that's my journey. That's my point of view. That's my idea. And as you sit with assignments like this that are designed to get you out of your regular world and get you into what's going on for you, you'll have your own ideas about it. And so what I did when I went back to the assignment is I began to write down all of the beautiful things that I experience all the time that I want more of. All of the beautiful things that I experience that I want more of. Like the time you spend with your children, like good food, good smells, right? That experience you want more of. And as I pushed into that feeling, I can feel, even as I'm emoting to you now, that I'm pushing way up into gratitude. Way up into gratitude that I want more of it. And the gratitude fills up my body and fills up the space, and it lets you know how reassuring it all is because you have so much already. Right? So we have other assignments like this that we infuse with the tactical and the strategic work because we ultimately want you to think and feel bigger to the point where you're starting to say words like, what do I perceive, right? Instead of how do I feel, right? That I'm not having to operate from my feelings because I'm no longer addicted to that, right? There's a larger possibility in a bigger space that we can all be as we start to know that our needs are satisfied and our needs are met, so much so that we can be an impact in the world and be a change for other people just by being more of ourselves, right? So I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable and sharing the assignment. And it is only going through the work and then processing what comes up for us. Can we all share in this sort of assignment? Would somebody else like to talk? I'm not sure.
Thank you, Leah. We're going to drop you now.
Great.
Thank you.
Would somebody else have something else they want to chat about? My list is really long.
Celeste, I can try to promote you, but we'll see if it works better for you. Okay. Can we hear you?
See if you can hear me. Can you hear me? I've unmuted myself.
You're live.
Woohoo!
I'm not sure of that.
Can you hear me?
Oh my God, I'm having that. We can hear it, but you guys can't.
Yeah.
Huh. What fun.
We'll have to figure out another format.
Okay, so it's just really hard not being able to hear you, Celeste. So
I can't start the video because you haven't given me permission to. Would that help? Do you think?
She can hear. Okay, so how about this? We will let Celeste talk, and you guys let us know when.
I'm gonna go look in the live over here.
Yeah, go in the other room and see if you can hear it.
Are we waiting for Ron? Can you hear me, Mandy? Ah, Leah says that we're waiting. I can see that in the chat. She says that we're waiting for Ron. Okay, good. Mandy can't hear me. That's so funny. So is he going to report back to us, do you think, Leah? Okay, good. All right, go ahead. All right. My list is pretty long because I actually managed to make it a bit longer. I started out with a new home filled with love, a love and life partner, travel, paying clients. Oh, and I need to say that I actually had a client who came in to have a contract drafted today, and she paid me half in cash and will transfer the rest next week. So that's really good. So I'm a happy bunny. Publish my book, develop my IPR game, do business intensives, have a laptop lifestyle, do public speaking, friendships, love, kindness, a lease for my horse, meaning a person who pays me to ride my horse for me, care of me, self-pampering, host transformational retreats, so much money, cash that I can roll naked in it. Happiness, joy, freedom, riding lessons, either a Fisker car or a Tesla electric car, deliver brilliant work, do speaking gigs, go attend Manny Wolf's speaking event in Sacramento in the US in October, buy books, buy DVDs, buy a dressage saddle for my horse, visit Australia, visit Canada, buy flowers, visit New Zealand, have clients approach me as if by magic, Man and Rundy do the email marketing for me, romantic dinners, travel business class, interior decorated by a professional in the new house, open myself up to receive all that is waiting for me, curiosity, ask for help, accept help, run bars privately. Run, that color looks so brilliant on you, I just have to tell you that. Have bars run, be open-minded, inclusion, connection, Pilates with a personal trainer, dancing, singing, Italian lessons, French lessons, English lessons, a life that I actually enjoy, new and golden opportunities, peace of mind, hire someone to do all PR and communication for my business, give and receive joyously, diamonds, pearls, clothes, shoes, parties, be expansive, good food, good friendships. I have friendships twice. Love and joy are there on it twice as well, just because I can. Attend a bars thingy with Dr. Dane here and talk about horses with him. Do transformation retreats, I spoke about that earlier. Hire people to work with me, showers of abundance, and beautiful flowers. So that was my list. I really enjoyed that, and thank you for listening to me, and thank you for smiling, Mandy. It makes me so happy when you smile. You have a beautiful smile. Over and out.
We back?
All right. That was interesting and odd and fabulous all at the same time. All right. I think Celeste gave us her list. That was amazing. And I heard a compliment there at the end. Thank you.
I'm grateful that somebody would call and share and be that vulnerable.
Yeah.
Any highlights that came to the group when you heard her with her list?
Type that in the chat.
Right? I know there were highlights for me. I want to give her like a bunch of little tiny coins so she can run around naked in them right now, you know?
Hey, who says there has to be a lot of money? Just take whatever money this woman gives you in cash next week and just roll around naked in it. How about that?
Yeah.
You can start with these experiences. With that, I want to end with a couple of things today with this. The reason that we give you this exercise about what you want is partially to help you practice the muscle of wanting and of creating possibility. And that's what all the tools with Access are, is to just really help you to stay in possibility, because all of us are sort of conditioned to be homeless under a bridge in 5 steps, or, you know, dying of cancer or something if we let ourselves think about it that way. And just to be in that constant sort of worry state, right? So what I'm going to challenge you with, like, with the $1 million business that we're here for this challenge for, right? We don't need to go into the how exactly all the time, because the first stage of what we've got to get you at is like really seeing that the $1 million business is what you really want, because you want all these things. So if you took and added dollar amounts to all of the things on your lists, right, you would start to see very quickly that you actually really need way more than $1 million, right, to be able to create all these things, right? And so to get you out of the how does it be hard, and, you know, all of those things, just get you into the pure joy of, I can want, and then I can, you know, go find and go create. I don't like the word want. I can desire all these things, and then I can just go create them. And learning to master that skill, wouldn't you say would be very much worth whatever investment that you paid to learn that, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So with that, I'd like for us to sit with, and Ron and I are going to check in energetically with what the schedule looks like for the weekend. Would you please let us know if you want to have a session Saturday and Sunday, if that would support you and create more, or if we can, if you want to take the weekend sort of off and we'll exchange sessions for next week. Leah says yes, so hey, we might just do it because if she says it. So Leah's yes for the weekend. So let us know. We're totally happy to do that. We might have to do some, the Access mediocre clearings are coming up for me, as tomorrow we might need to talk about and clear some of the issues you guys have around being mediocre. Because if you're not creating these wants in your life after we get you to practice wanting them, then we've got to get you out of creating your life as not that, and get you into removing some of those blocks that can help you to do that.
I have fun new homework that would lead right into that.
You do? Talk
I
to me
do.
about that.
I would like you to make a list of all the things you're tolerating.
Some of those people on the LinkedIn program have done this one. I'd like you to revisit it.
All the things you're tolerating.
Right? All the things you're tolerating. So it could be, for me, it was like the towels. Why do I get out of the shower every day and rub scratchy towels on me that I got from my first marriage 10 years ago? You know, like, no. Towels, right? What other things are you tolerating? It could be lots of things in the house. It could be not taking enough vacations. It could be not having enough clients.
It could be feeling overwhelmed. It could be feeling exhausted.
It could be not having
sunrises.
a good website.
Yeah.
Right?
It could be dealing with fuckboy, you know, like whoever the thing is, right? I would like to invite you to list all the things that you're tolerating. And I will add the specific punch that everything you're tolerating is everywhere you've made it okay to suck. Everywhere where you've made it okay, acceptable, allowable, satisfying, where it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everywhere in your life that something sucks, I want you to identify what you're tolerating.
Cool.
Okay?
So we are back together tomorrow at, I don't even know if I have it on the calendar. 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
Got a little soccer game, and then we got a little come back and play with you guys. So post the stuff in the group. It supports everybody else. And if you're catching this as a replay, feel free to comment in the particular thread that the video's on, or anywhere in the Facebook group. and get ready, get registered for tomorrow.
I have a request before I forget. Please make a comment of what your takeaway was from today's meeting.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
In the Facebook group, what's your takeaway from today's call?
Cool. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here with us today. We very much appreciate it, and all of those who are energetically here and going to listen later. How cool is that? All right. So have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was fun.
Yeah, it always is.